Hey guys, I'm back with another video. This time I am doing a video about the craziest and weirdest just chess rules. Now chess has been around for thousands of years, so of course there will be about a million chess rules, but there are just certain chess rules that just make us just scratch us at our heads. And I've been playing chess since I was 5, and I have encountered some really weird and crazy chess rules. So I'm going to be talking about a few of those rules today. So let's get into it. Well, this chess rule is really crazy. Now if you're new to chess, or you do play chess but you just don't know about this rule can probably catch you off guard. Now, this is a special move that can only be made by the pawn. It is called El Sapan. I probably butchered that name. I bet £100 that I did butcher that name. But in France, it means in passing. It is a special capture that can only be made by the pawn. If an opponent's pawn advanced 2 squares on its first move, landed directly beside one of your pawns, you can capture it on your next turn as it had only moved 1 square. Which is really interesting. But I've been doing some research about why this rule even exists because of how unique it is and how rare it is to even, do it. But of course I found out why this move about why this move even does exist. The move exists to prevent a pawn from bypassing an opponent's pawn without the risk of being captured. So it basically makes the game harder and the pawn honestly more dangerous. I mean, it's already this move is already better than whatever the king can do, even though the king does have his own version that I'll be getting into in a few seconds. It is very useful to know about this move because I remember when I was playing chess for the first time and this move always used to catch me off guard. I still ended up winning the game, but oof. It's better just to know about moves and things like this so you don't get caught off guard. So keep that in mind. Now this is the next chess rule that is more well known than the others. I think more people know about this chess rule. This is basically called castling. It is a special move in chess involving both the king and the castle, where the king moves 2 squares forward and the castle then moves to the square and the king's cross. It is the only move where 2 pieces are moved at once, which is interesting, but it counts as a single move. Castling is done for tactical reasons, defensive reasons. It is mainly done to get the king to a safer position behind a wall of pawns. So this move is used as a defense, and this is a really useful move because if you think that your king is in danger, then you could just do this move. Honestly speaking, now that I think about it, this is good defensively and attackingly because 1, your king, you could protect your king, and 2, you could get your castle or rook or whatever you want to call that piece back into some action. So it's really good for attacking and defensively, but of course it's better defensively because your king will be safe, which is what matters most. But of course there are some downsides to castling. Neither the king or the rook has previously moved. Now if the king or the castle, I'm just going to call it the castle, I don't want to call it the rook. So if the king or the castle moved before castling, let's say if a king moves 1 square to the side and then 1 square back, it won't be able to castle. It can only be done if both pieces are left untouched, and there can be no pieces between the king and the castle. So it has to be 2. So it has to be 3 or 2 whatever spaces or open spaces. So no piece can be in between them, and the king cannot be in check. Because if the king has been in check before and then you moved your king and then you try to do castling, it won't work. So those are the downside of castling. So in other words, just don't, like, if you want a castle, don't move your castle or your king, because once you move it, you can't castle. It will be invalid. It will be void. So keep that in mind. Very interesting rule. I use this a lot, and it is very useful. Now the next rule I want to talk about. This is a very well known rule. Anyone, and I mean anyone, should know about this rule. It is a stalemate. Now, if a player has no legal moves and is not in check, it is a stalemate, which results in a draw. Like, you could be winning, but if your opponent has no move to make, it's a stalemate. This is different from a checkmate where the king is in check and there are no legal moves to be made. Now, funny enough, I have a lot of friends who play chess, and a lot of them hate stalemate. They think it's a dumb rule, but as for me, like, I'm not sure if I should put stalemate on here as a weird or crazy rule, because I don't really think it's an insane rule. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, if the king has no move to make, then it should end in a stalemate. But some of my friends think that if a king has no move to make, then the opponent should win because well, they have the most piece, and if the king can't move, they think that person should lose, which I kind of get, but yeah, I'm still, I don't mind the stalemate rule. Like, it doesn't bother me that much. It just means I have to be more careful with the moves that I make, because getting putting someone in stalemate is really annoying, especially if you think you're going to win and then a stalemate just happens, especially when you play chess online. So keep that in mind, because a stalemate, in my opinion, a stalemate is worse than losing. But I don't necessarily hate the rule, because I kind of do understand why it's there, because you can't. I don't like, what are they realistically supposed to change it? Like, how are they supposed to change a stalemate rule? Because if the king can't move, then what can happen? I mean, unless the king can move, and then you can just take the king, but maybe that can work. I don't know. It's 50-50. It depends on the chess player you are. Now, this next chess rule I want to talk about, I didn't even know this was a rule until recently, because I just never did stuff like this. If a player deliberately touches a piece, they must move or capture it if a illegal move exists. If the player on piece is touched, it must be moved if it can be illegally moved, which is very strict. That is really strict. If a opponent move is touched, it must be captured. If a illegal capture is possible, this rule / move applies to form over the board chess. So this is if you own a chessboard and you're playing competitions like that. But this doesn't apply to online chess, only real life chess, if that makes sense. Yeah, but it applies to over-the-board competition and is intended to prevent players from touching other pieces to intimidate or mislead their opponents. Now, that is very interesting, because this is a really strict and kind of harsh rule, but it is kind of understandable. But this never happens to me, because, well, whenever I play chess, whenever I touch a piece, because I'm a really fast chess player, I always think like 10 moves ahead of everyone else, so I don't really need to do stuff like that. But that is a really strict chess rule. So if you're planning on joining any chess tournaments, if you touch a piece, you basically have to move it. I mean, unless you're playing online, because this doesn't apply to online. This is only if you play chess, chess.com, this rule won't apply to it. So it's a hit. So keep that in mind, because if you are playing in a tournament, this can hit you like a wrecking ball. So remember that. Now, this will be the last rule I'll be talking about, and this is the handshake chess rule. Now in chess, handshaking is mandatory, part of the pre-game and post-game, and especially in competitions. So if you want to join any chess competitions, then just know that you have to be doing handshaking. It is a gesture of sportsmanship and respect for the game and the opponent. Failure to shake hands can result in a forfeit. Through this penalty is rarely enforced, often leading to a warning and a chance to replay the game. So if you are being a sore loser and you don't want to shake the person's hand, or if you do win and you don't want to shake the person's hand, then you could lose or you have to replay the game. I mean, I do understand the rule because it's sportsmanship, and plus, there's nothing bad about a handshake rule. Of course, this doesn't apply to online chess because, well, it's online. But if you are planning on joining any chess tournaments, then just know that you have to be doing handshaking. Like, if you win, if you lose, you have to shake, the person's hand, because if you don't, you might be getting into a lot of trouble, and we don't want that. But that is the last fact of today, and that is it for this video. Let me know what you think of these crazy bizarre rules, and like if you agree with any or disagree with any, because I know a lot of people don't like the stalemate rule. So let me know if you agree, or if you just like me and you don't mind the stalemate rule. But that is it for this video, and I'm out.